Here we go.
I think
Hey,
we're live,
everybody.
girl.
We have Curtis Broome with us today. Super, super excited. He is in Oslo, and I hear the weather is fine.
I'm
And
being Nordic today, very Nordic, except I'm not feeling Nordic because it was like hot outside. It was probably in the high 70s. It was a beautiful day.
nice. So, Curtis is gonna has some fun stuff that we're gonna jump right into today. I just want to thank you all for showing up, and we missed you last week, Curtis and Lisa. We miss seeing both your faces. I know you guys are super super busy traveling, and everyone is being blessed and benefited by your presence wherever you go. So
No,
we're super honored and very grateful that you're taking time for us. So I'm just gonna let you jump right in and let's go for it.
let's talk about some of the things we talked about just before we fired this up. But now's a really exciting time. You guys are headed in a national convention. You're setting records. Romy shared with me, it's gonna be the biggest event that Salt Lake's ever had. You guys sold out in like 36 seconds back in March, and everybody just scrambling for tickets since. And so I get, I'm so glad we get to like hop on the tail end of the giant and just kind of hang on and hang out with you guys. Lisa will be with you guys next week. We'll have a ton of fun there. It has been hectic. We apologize for last week. We were literally in the air and traveling. It was really tough to figure out how to do a hangout from 30 some odd thousand feet on British Airways. But if we could have, we would have. There just wasn't a way to pull that one off. But we felt it was a good thing that particularly now it's just that right moment. I think it's September 17th, isn't that what you said? That's when you guys are heading into convention. And so, first and foremost, I hope everybody here who's watching this is particularly live, but if you watch it here very shortly, I hope you're going. If not, then they say they've been scrambling and everybody's scrambling, then start scrambling, do whatever it takes to get there. The reality is, I was listening to a training recorded, quite some time ago by a top tier leader in our profession, and someone who's led from the front for a very long time. And it was interesting because it's the conversation that you would have today. It's the conversation we'll have in 10 years. And it was a conversation he was having. It was a recording of a training he did years and years ago. And yet it still is applicable. And it's that the most important thing you'll ever do is build from event to event. Now, there are certainly the major global impacting events, an international convention. Obviously, those are once a year. So you not only need to be there, you need to be there with anybody and everybody you can possibly get. And I hope those who have been aware of it since, over the last 7, 8 months, I hope that's what you did when tickets were first available. I hope you went in and you got a bunch of them and you made sure that you have a lot of team members going. I had someone, another top educator in our profession, say that as your company moves and goes and grows, and that's certainly what's happening with doTERRA, that you could potentially, almost mathematically expect to be able to earn as much as $1,000 next year for every member of your team who attends. Because the power of what happens to those who are there and the power of what happens when they leave and what they begin to initiate and then what grows from that and the power of that momentum, that energy momentum. So if you had, you want to make 100,000 a year, then have 100 people at a national event who are already enrolled on your team and they're attending that event with you, and you watch what happens in terms of the income that can be generated by their efforts in terms of the income you'll receive. Understand they are also bringing people on their teams, and imagine what that rippling effect could have for them. And the reason is because at events, it's not about any announcements or any special product release or any special promotion or anything. It's about the power of connection. And when people come together in significant numbers, and that's anything more than you by yourself. When one person can do X amount of work, two people can do 3X amount of work, three people in synergy can do 10X amount of work. It's those types of compounding factors. Anytime you have an opportunity to be present where others are present that are like-minded, that's not a choice. That should be a mental requirement of yourself by yourself. And the reason for that is this: it creates not only reliability but relatability. It allows you. It's the power of our profession is the power of story. human different walks of life who have come together because they have a singularly common interest, meaning they want more personal control of their life. Being able to go to an event where there may be great information from the stage, but Romy will be able to tell you from having been to many in her career, that it is the information or it is the growth due to the information that happens off the stage. It's the meeting after the meeting. It's the break times. It's the people that you meet and connect with who are like-minded from different countries. One of the greatest things you'll ever be able to do is either walk around with a pad and pen, go get one of those quick pocket recorders. If you got a smartphone, hit the recording and say, listen, would you mind sharing with me who you are, where you're from, and how you, what your story is, how you, just real quickly, how you became a part of doTERRA. Who you are, where you're from, what you've done in the past, and what attracted you to doTERRA. What's going on. Oh, well, my name's Curtis. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I used to be a real estate agent, or I am a real estate agent, or I'm a dentist, or I'm a truck driver, or I work in retail. But what I love most about doTERRA is that the product has done this and the business has done that. It's because it's learning, it's reaching out and developing those kinds of story relationships. You may meet people, if you meet more and more people that are from an area that you are close to, it's having people that you can say, listen, I would be more than happy to support you. If you've got people you're talking to and prospects you're speaking to, and if you'd like to call me for a three-way, I'd be more than happy to help you. Can I do the same? If I have people, would you mind hopping on the phone just, for a 30, 45-second, 2-minute, machine gun three-way, just because I'm not a truck driver and you are, but I know people who are, and maybe just hearing that similar story might be a benefit. It's not just what happens with the information from the stage presented and brought to you in any environment. In a weekly meeting, it's not just the information coming from the presentation out to you. It's the opportunity to be able to gather with people beforehand, the common experience during, and the conversations that happen after. I look back at my career, I think I learned the majority of what I really learned after the opportunities on Tuesday nights and Thursday night, after the Super Saturday trainings, just hanging out in the lobby with the diehard people like myself who fell in love with it and were just devouring. We were it was like it's like sucking in helium to have fun, having a squeaky voice. It was just, we were just enjoying the experience. We had this camaraderie and this common closeness, and it was just this gathering of people talking, and it was just the conversations and the ideas it would spark, and the examples or the stories that people would say about things they had tried that had worked, and then it stimulates your imagination. I really do. I think 80% of my education wasn't in the formal Super Saturday. I think that was functional information. I think it was the conversations after. So the reason that you want to build event to event is that you want something to be able to point a new prospective person towards. The reason it's great to be able to plug in these Hangouts, why? It's another event. If there's a corporate update call, you plug into those. Why? It's another event. If there's a local meeting, you plug into those. Why? Because it's another event. We can have whole conversations in the future about if you're currently having a local meeting in your area, what are some great concepts of the purpose of a local meeting? And if you have a standard presentation, we're not here to tell you things you'd want to change or adapt, but there are concepts regardless of the material in the presentation. Most all presentations of information talk about the company, the product, and the opportunity. It's what if you had a local meeting in an area, or if you wanted to start one, why is that a powerful thing? doTERRA has a calendar of meetings throughout the country you can tap into. Why are those powerful things? And leading by example, the speed of the group is determined by the speed of the leader. Because each of those are events. The power of having a weekly meeting in a small area, it's not, oh, I hate those hotel meetings. We've been working with some of the Norway groups who had said, in this company we're working with, and this group of people that we're becoming great friends with and love and we're having tons of fun with, we said, go back and start some local meetings. They're like, yeah, but we said, look, why did you find meetings to be They said, because it was the same person every week. We said, well, why was that? Hang on a second. There are parts of a true meeting concept that I can take a brand new person who's 2 weeks in the business, and I'll let them be the MC. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're going to get started here in just a second. Couple of housekeeping issues. If you please turn off your phones, and also, or turn your phones to silent or vibrate so we don't interrupt. And if you've got any questions, if you'll hold those to the end, most all of them get answered during the presentation, and if not, we'll stay and as long as it takes to get them all answered. Okay, great. Let me introduce the first speaker. Why do I have a brand new person do that simple little 45 one-minute thing? just to give them something to do, and it's a new person and it's a new face. In other words, there's whole psychologies. In fact, it's about expectation and managing expectation, and that was the second thing I told what Romy and I talked about. Really wanted to talk about today. And sometimes we'll bounce all over in terms of topics as we go through these hangout times with you, because it'll be conversations that have really become most relevant, mainly for us, over typically the last week or two due to actual experience interaction and some things that have come up. And then over time, we hope this library evolves where you've got massive amounts of information. You can go back and kind of say, here's what the subject of this was, the subject of that one, and then people can tap into it. Again, finishing up on the event to event, what it does is it is having a schedule, having a calendar, knowing when the national events are, when the international, when the major convention is, knowing when the regionals are, knowing in your local market where there are local meetings if they exist. If not, if you want to start one, great. Where there are super Saturdays, knowing what is available that is not you allows you to compound your strength, because the most successful people in the business are not those who try to be the most informational. They are those who are the best guiding directional. They're the best at guiding and directing people to stuff. Why? 100% of the time that you are talking to someone, whether it's an initial casual conversation leading to the 3 questions we talked about, whether it's a hot market system, whether you're explaining that to a new team member and saying, here's why and how it works, everything that you do, you are training others. Whether what you do is training them well or training them poorly is a choice of what you choose to do. But you are always coaching and mentoring, whether you know it or not. And one of the biggest tests that people are applying to everything they're seeing is, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? You see, Lisa has talked many times that in a presentation there are 3 questions that people have going through their minds, and I'll save all of them for when we really talk about meetings and presentations and what that process is. But the third most important one is, can I do this? And that's just happening subtly. It's just mentally. They're watching what's happening, going, can I do this? And if you do things, I think I mentioned in a previous conversation we had that a mentor of mine early on said, Curtis, what you are personally capable of doing, practiced publicly, will lead to failure, not success. Because you are the only one of you that has ever existed or will ever exist. So those things that you are uniquely and personally capable of doing, it doesn't mean you don't do them, but don't necessarily do them publicly. There are things you do because you're capable of it, but you do that privately and in ways that benefit you and your business, but it's not front and center. The things that you do front and center, where everybody's watching, where you are the coach and mentor, whether you know it or not, where you are setting the example, whether you wish to or not, it's the fact, because it's out there for everybody to see. If you're doing things and they're going, wow, that's really good, I can't do that, you're actually hurting your business and directing towards failure. And so that's why the event to event allows you to be exposed to so many other things. It allows you to not have to be an expert at anything, but no, I can point people. I can build for this. I can build for the next call. I can build for the next hangout. I can build for the next local meeting. I can build for the next Super Saturday. I can build for the next regional event. I can build for the next national event. 100% of your focus should be, what am I building next for? That should always be a part of my conversation with everyone when I'm having conversations with my team members. So who are you, not are you coming to the next local meeting, if you have one, who are you bringing? How many have you already invited? Because I'm assuming you're coming, because in my presence, our mentality is, even if we only do this business 10 hours a week, part of that 10 hours of the 2 hours we go there. By the way, who all have you spoken to on your team that is going to be joining you at the Super Saturday in 3 weeks here? So who do you have coming with you to that type of thing? So think about that. Every single thing. Who have you invited to listen to the corporate update call, or the hangout, or the webinar on Mondays about this? So just look at your calendar. Make sure you calendar. Make sure you've got a year calendar. If you know when the next regional is, or if you know when the next, if they're not going to know where it is until you go through this one, that's great. But your calendar should be as far out as you know that there are things scheduled. as far out. If you know that generally the International Convention is September, October, then in your mind, already in your calendar for 2015, September, October is International Convention. Don't know exactly where it's going to be, not sure which date they're picking, but I know that a year from now in September, that's where I'm headed. And mentally, you're already way out. Which then comes back to expectations. And I think I may have mentioned this, but in one of the previous ones, the thing is, we support so many teams. I may randomly throw out stuff you've heard again. Just forgive me. And usually, when you hear things 10 times, it'll become a part of what you say, and you don't have to give anybody credit. Just say, I've heard it said many times. After a few times, say, I've said so many times, and it can be yours. I'm good with that. But an individual had a friend who was actually a billionaire, and the billionaire in conversation said, the difference between, let's just say billionaires, millionaires, and average folks, who comprise at least the larger group of people, not to belittle or speak down, but he said, the difference between these categories, millionaires or multimillionaires, billionaires, and most average folks going through life. He said most average folks have a 30 to 60 day crystal clear vision. If they're extraordinary, maybe 90, but that's really not the case. Usually they're trying to make sure they can cover rent this month, or they're trying to figure out how they're going to cover, rent next month because they things are going on in life. He said that's the extent, that's the distance of their clear vision. He said millionaires are millionaires because they have a crystal clear 12-month vision, 12 to 18 months. Now, something dramatic could happen next week that alters the whole landscape. He said they are millionaires or multimillionaires because almost instantly, within 48 hours of that major event, they have already in their mind, it is shifted, and they now have a crystal clear 12 to 18-month vision. It's different, but it is crystal clear to them. He said billionaires, it's very simple. They have a crystal clear 15 to 20-year vision. They see where things are not just headed, but where everything is ultimately going to end up. And he said that's it. It's really not no more about intelligence or special gifts or anything else. It was that they just had different sight distances. In network marketing, if you have a calendar that is always 1 year out, even if you don't know when the next national event is, but you've got the target zone of the year already wrapped up and circled, you're already mentally so far out that what is going wrong or right today doesn't take you off course. So if you find that you're struggling and having difficulty getting on course, calendar it. Make sure you are plugged in, you've got it all put in place, and make sure you're building event to event. And then let's come back to managing expectation. Both, managing others and managing your, and Romy mentioned, we talked about this a little bit briefly before, and it has to do with, one of the things that where people say, how do you manage your disappointment? True professionals in our industry, unless someone acts unethically, that's different. I'd be tremendously disappointed in someone who suddenly I thought was a certain way and they acted entirely unethically. That's a different thing. They're rarities, and they're certainly not every event. But I mean, when people say they're disappointed because on a consistent basis, people tell you they're coming to a meeting, they don't show up. People say they're going to do this and they don't. People say they're going to be there and they're not. They say they're going to, talk to so-and-so and they don't. People have a right to choose. It simply means that they didn't choose or they changed their mind, which they're entitled to. The reason that you should have a perspective of I'm not disappointed is because you should know in advance that's people. People are people, and we have to respect that they're human beings. We may not respect their behavior or appreciate their behaviors, but that's who they are. Don't be disappointed. You shouldn't even be
I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. So I just sent a message to Curtis. So I'm going to stop the broadcast. And I hope you guys all got some value from that. I will, oh, it looks like he's coming back.
Hey, Romy, are you still there?
Yep.
It's okay. We're still going. Every once in a while, these things lose a connection, and then it typically dies. And so just dialed out and boom. Did you hear the last thing I was saying about, when I was welcoming you to the team, or did it cut off before that?
Nope.
Okay, where did you lose me? Because you're the recording.
About you were moving into the expectations and the choices that people were making and along those lines.
Sure, because people have the right to change their mind, and they can certainly do that. And so, but one of the great benefits, one of the great things you can do is make this fun, make it pleasurable, have a good time. That's what everybody should be doing. If you're not having fun at network marketing, somehow you got a little off course. This is a business of relationships. We build them with our consumers or our customers. Through Hot Market, we're able to attract more consumers. The average person doesn't follow up very well, and I don't understand why not. That person can become a great friend if you give them a great experience, and we all enjoy being able to spend time with our friends. So follow up with the consumers because you're building friendships. You're not just getting a check because they bought a product. As you build out teams, you're creating new friendships if you understand the model and if you do it right. Because now, it doesn't mean that, by the way, if someone then later changed their mind, well, we went from friends to I don't like you anymore, that wasn't a friendship. But there's nothing wrong with sitting down with people and having straight up and honest and sincere conversations. Say, Romy, welcome to the team. I'm glad to have you here. I'm really excited. I'm so glad you chose to be a part of it. Because first of all, I'm never going to say I'm so glad I got you to join the team, because that's not my desire. I want you to choose to be part of the team. But we're really excited you chose to become a part of our doTERRA team. We love helping people. We love building friendships with people and helping them have fun and enjoy the quality of their life, whether that's just through the relationships we build here or also through the financial possibilities that are here. Broome, let me share with you as a team how we work. And that is, we treat each other, and it's going to be great for you too, we treat each other with great respect. We have a simple philosophy. We say what we're going to do, and we do what we say we're going to do. And if something comes up, because it always does, we let people know. We just don't leave, because I want you to know, you're new to the team, and as a team, if it's what you want, and if you're willing to put in the effort, we're going to spend time with you. And we're going to give you our time. We want to be able to do that. Now, sometimes we're giving you our time along with the whole team in a group presentation. Sometimes we're doing that with all the folks who show up to weekly meetings. Sometimes everybody, you included. But there's always the times during breaks and other times where we can spend some time one-on-one in questions. And there are ways of working together. But here's all we ask. What I ask is that it's not about the number of hours. That's not it. I'll let you choose that. It's not about you feeling like you have to be as serious as I am or others about what your next goals are. I want to have fun here, and I want to build great relationships as much as anybody else. But what we do ask is that if you'll just please respect and appreciate us as much as we respect and appreciate you, because we appreciate that you're here. We know you didn't have to choose. You made this choice. We want to help you, and we want to be a part of it. But that's the one fundamental guiding principle. That's how we are. That's our culture. That is, if we were going to put it on a t-shirt and we were all going to wear it, we are the culture of respect for others and ourselves and others. And that is, respect us and that we say what we're going to do, and we do what we say we're going to do. And if something comes up and we can't do what we said, we let everybody know. That's it. So if we've got appointments, we're there. If times start, time. If something's going to come up, we let each other know. We reschedule, we adjust. That's fine. And of course, there's always emergencies. But those are the things I used to have with the team members that I brought on. And the reason we did that is like, listen, let's have a great time. Let's have fun. But it allowed people to understand, please just treat me with the dignity and respect that I'm going to treat you with. That's all I ask. If we do that, we'll have great fun. We'll have a great time. We'll build a solid relationship. And it's going to be an enjoyable process and an enjoyable ride. Now let me show you one of the most successful ways, or one of the greatest ways to move to success. We build from event to event. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Whatever is the next cool thing, let's get your calendar out. Let's start getting it filled up. Let me share with you all the things that are going to be happening over the next year together. Why would I say over just the next week? Let me sit down with a new person and say, let's do this. Let's talk about what this first year over the next year is going to be like for you. You're going to have an opportunity to attend regional events. We've got our big national on as of September 20th. You say, hey, listen, we've got our next national event next September, October. The final dates are in place, but make sure around mid-September to mid-October, keep that time free because that's when it's going to be. And as soon as they book the tickets, we're going to make sure we all get tickets together. We're all going down as a team. You're going to have more team members by then. And we're going to bring a bunch of them with us. That's our goal. So that you've just enrolled. Let's just create a 12-month calendar. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by what you think you have to accomplish in the next 10 minutes. You don't have to go conquer the world the next 10 minutes. The question is, how big a team would we like to have? How many of your team members would you like to have at that event? In a year. Let's see what we can do because we're able to create a plan for that. That's where really particularly going to your second year, you could have a whole life-changing experience. That's, I think, a mentality that first we all have to embed. We all have to say, this is who we are, this is who I am. These are the principles that guide me. It's not about how much time you have. Like I've already said before, I think the only way to succeed is to be full-time. That doesn't mean quantity of hours, that means quality of hours. Whatever hours you put in, they are full-time hours. That's the truly smart way to do it. Hang around and get around the successful people every chance you get. That's what events allow you to do. They allow you to be present when those who have been there longer and have done it longer, who know more and are more comfortable, can do it for you and on your behalf. They can do it on the webinars, they can do it on the Hangouts, they can do it on the conference calls, they can do it at the local meetings, they can do it at the Super Saturdays, the regionals, the nationals. They can do all that for you. You know how one day you get as comfortable at this as Romy is? You do it a long time in her presence and the other presence of the other leaders that are between you and Romy on this team. And you will learn by simply being present, which that's why that comes all the way back. It's about expectation, managing expectations, starting with yours. What is your commitment and what does your calendar look like? Right now, if we came to your home or your desk or wherever you do the business and we said, whip out the 12-month calendar, do you have all those things written down? Do you already know that next year in September, October, you kind of just got a faint circle around that time? Because it hasn't been paid. Do you know that? Do you know what typically is the regional season of the year? Do you know when there are other major things that happen corporately, typically once a year? Do you know what your local market stuff is? If you get calendared, mentally you're already there a year from now. As a result, it creates a whole different perspective. You realize, wow, I already know what my next year looks like. I'm going to be so much better then than I am now. I no longer feel the pressure just this minute. If I just don't have 20 people at just next week's Tuesday meeting, I've failed. No, you haven't. You're going to have Tuesday meetings for the next year. You're going to have Super Saturdays every month. You're going to have regionals every 2 to 3 months. You've got this event and then the major event. It gives you a perspective that creates more calm. And when you bring people onto the team in a fun way, but make sure you have the conversation. Let's manage the expectation. Well, I don't want to. We can create a 30-day plan, and a 60-day plan, and a 90-day plan, and a 6-month, and a 1-year plan. Let's do all, but let's make sure we've got that 1-year view. Why? Because millionaires have a crystal clear view of where they're going to be in the next 12 to 18 months. If nothing else, that's what it means on your calendar. You can go all the way up to 2016, circle that September, October. 2017, circle that one if you got one of those calendars with all the little blocks on the back. You've just, by that little circle, mentally you say, great, that's where I'm going to be. In 2017, September, October, somewhere around there, I'm going to be at the doTERRA major international event. Wherever it has to be, because we're probably too big for Salt Lake at that point. So who knows? We may have to go someplace where they've got gigantic places. And we'll be in some stadium somewhere. So those are the things I want to share. Build event to event, manage expectations, starting with your own, create that long-term vision projection, and always remember, it's great to build relationships that are established with everybody having the right expectation, the right boundaries, and the right understanding. First and foremost, have fun. Secondly, build relationships. And thirdly, be straight up. Just be straight up and direct with people and say, here's my commitment to you. I'll say what I'm going to do. I'll do what I say. If anything ever comes up, I'll contact you as fast as I can because I will treat you with dignity and respect. I ask that you do the same. Are you willing to commit that that's what you'll do? Great, I appreciate it. If I change my mind, I'll let you know. If you change your mind, you let me know. Why? Because that's what we do. We treat each other with respect, and we're all human beings, but we appreciate, we love each other, and we have a ton of fun. Welcome to the team. Let's get going. And that's, I think, those things that aren't a specific, okay, exactly how do I, you don't need to worry about that. Those, I think, are just mental concepts that will toughen you, they'll strengthen you, and they'll get you really prepared for the extraordinary ride and extraordinary fun you're going to have in your career in this beautiful profession called network marketing. So there you go, Romy. Those are some of the thoughts those are the things we've actually been doing. We got over here, we actually started teaching these people local meetings. They've been doing monthly meetings. We said, well, that's silly. Once a month doesn't work for you. You got to be more consistent than that. And they started them, and in the last week, they've had so much fun. They said, how do I do a local meeting? And we've had some people who started their first meeting. There were 11 people there, but the reports of how excited everybody was so hysterically funny. And they're having a good time with it. So those are just some of the thoughts that had kind of popped in my head, what was fresh and new in my life that I could share that might be of value. And then you said your event's coming up here in a couple weeks. I said, bingo. Let's talk about events and mindset. So.
Well, I loved that. It was perfect for me. I have to admit, I don't have a calendar written out like that, and so that kind of for me, it was like, oh, I can do that. It just was like a little relaxation part for me. And I do think that we get caught up in the daily grind of what we need to do, and just really going back to the basics in that love and respect and relationship is I think it really takes the pressure off.
Yeah. I think if you sit down with a new person and say, listen, let's pull out a calendar. Let's talk about what's happen over the next week, 2 weeks, because they're brand new. Here's what we're going to do in 30 days. Here's what we're shooting for in 60 and 90. But I want you to do something. Let's go out about 9, 10, a couple of months from now. Let's go out 9 or 10 months. I want you to kind of circle this time frame because around next March, let's kind of put a little note there, sometime around in March, usually international or national convention announcement. Let's just be looking for that then. But just know that around September, October, if you were planning family things, stick that in November or get that out of the way in August because you need to be available then. So let's plan that. Let's take a look at it. Something like this. And what happens is somebody's like, okay, all right, I guess I don't have to be a superstar in 10 minutes. Yeah, if you're not a superstar in 10 minutes, we don't kick you out. Because here's the whole thing. Our whole thing is to build you a little bit team. It gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So when you hit that national event, now boom, now you're getting started and it's only 2 months away. Wow, tickets are hard to find. Let's see what we can do. But if nothing else, let's get out your calendar. Great, let's go out 14 months. That's the one we're really gearing up for. Let's see if we can at least get you and a couple of folks into this one. Let's see what we can do. But if not, that's okay. Here's the next regional. Here's another regional we can tap into. This one, hey, it's 2 states away. We'll get together 5 or 6 of us, hop in somebody's van, we'll carpool. Let's go. Because here's what, again, a multi-million dollar earner I was listening to one of these training recordings. It's the truth, and we've heard it a million times. They said that one of the things they attributed their great success, they said they never really had a lot of great success their first few years. They were just toughing it out. But they've gone on to have huge success since. But they said the one thing that was said to them, like the day they started, the week they started, they said, if you ever want to have the life of your dreams, you will never miss an event. But here's the perspective. Going to events will not guarantee success. But here's what I guarantee you. The most successful people have never missed a single event. Period. From the moment they enrolled or from the moment their true success path began. Because until you make the commitment, and he went on to say, he said there were times early on when it wasn't working and he didn't have much money and he couldn't afford it and he found a way to do it. He did whatever extra he had to raise the money for the ticket or the bus fare or the flight, but he never missed an event. And the mentality of that's what you do. And so now that you've got this one coming up, I think it's a great story and a great position to be in, and that's a great timing for that. And so I think that alone will be incredibly powerful. Take those calendars and show people, and that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing right now. We're teaching people you've got to create calendars, they've got to lay them out so that people don't have this. If I don't succeed in 30 days, gee, it's all over. So what are you talking about? We've got all this stuff going over the next time. Here's when the weeklies are, here's when the Super Saturdays are, here's when the regionals are, here's the nationals are. Look at all this stuff. We've already got a year planned for you, so that's coming. Don't worry about it. And I think it creates a different level of expectation. So, what other thoughts do you have? And we can send them all on their way, and they can all get ready to get packed up and do whatever it takes and get there to the event.
Yeah. I love what you put into words. What I've been trying to explain to people about getting to events and stuff is that I had the same experience that you're talking about with the events. For example, we have a yearly trip that the company takes, and it's an incentive trip. And last year it was Cancun. This year it's Jamaica. And for the first couple of years, people were talking about, oh, you need to do this, it'll be fun. And it was a cruise. And I was like, I don't like to be in crowds, and I don't like cruises. And so it really wasn't a priority for me. And so we went this last year, and it was life changing. And it wasn't a matter of that we got to go and sit on the beach, and it was beautiful, and the environment was awesome, and it was all inclusive, and all of that stuff. The great part about it for me was the networking and building those relationships with other people that are in the company, and getting different ideas, and really, like you say, just really mingling with people of like-mindedness in a fun environment that really just kind of expanded the vision of what being in this profession is. It's not all about business. It is fun. It's people that love to help and serve people, and it's all just good.
Yeah, and you can get that on a smaller scale, a local meeting. You get it a little bit larger at a Super Saturday when 2 or 3 communities come together. You get it a bigger way, and when you go to those big things. In fact, one of the comments he made, he said, "I've never missed an event that I qualified for," realizing early on there were some of those incentives he didn't, and then he made a decision, but I'm not going to miss another one. I'll make sure that I qualify, and it's because of that power. And so you're right, and obviously going on the trip, it's not about the money they made; it was about the experience that you had. So
Mhm.
I agree. So I think it's really good timing. You're coming up to a big event, and for anybody who's last second, scramble. It may be. I'm sure that the tickets sold out like at light speed, but there's probably somebody on eBay somewhere, and sometimes it happens. If nothing else, plan and see if you can pull it off, and maybe be prepared. And if something shows up somewhere and on a bulletin board, and somebody all of a sudden, it's unfortunate. Maybe something happened, and for whatever reason it happened, they're not going to be able to go, and they can make a ticket available. And you just never know, but at least do all that you can. But make sure you get it on the calendar so that next week it's all ready to go. Yeah, sorry, that was Lisa. She couldn't be on this call, but she'll be there next week. And so anyway,
Hi, Darlene.
any last questions before we wrap up and let everybody head on off, get going?
I think we're good. I was just thinking what one of the things that I'd like to maybe consider talking a little bit about in the future is a Super Saturday.
Awesome.
Is that I think that would be really
Lisa's
fun
been
for
spending
people
time.
to learn
Lisa's
about.
been spending time here teaching people 2 things. A local meeting format, and obviously you probably have a style for those who do them. Maybe a local meeting format, but some of the psychological components. So you've got your product information, your company information, yada yada yada. But she may be able to share some things about maybe a slight adjustment.
We can do a meet event.
Yeah, maybe exactly. Just a slight adjustment on that, and then
next week.
she can also show you a layout of Super Saturdays and how that works, because that's what she's been doing. She's been talking with folks here. Here's the psychological layout and process, and here's that process. Boom. So that's what we're
Next
doing
week.
here.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
She'll be your girl, and I'll take the week off, but I'll then see you guys in weeks in the future.
Awesome. Well, I love both of you, and I'm so grateful for both of you. So.
Well, awesome. We'll get ready to have a great event. It's going to be a fun one.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, gang. All right, guys. Everybody watching. Love you guys bunch. Have a fun event. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.